so glad to have you with us. Now, as mentioned at the top of the show, the U.S. Supreme Court is hearing arguments for and against same-sex marriage over the next couple of days. The High Court's decision expected to have a major impact on the definition of families in America. Right now, just to give you some perspective, 9 states allow it. The others have specific laws banning same-sex marriage. Of course, a contentious issue across the country. I mean, new polling shows 53% of Americans support same-sex marriage, but 47% do not. So while the Supreme Court sorts out the legal issues, this is what we want to talk about today. From a parenting perspective, specifically, how should we talk to our kids about same-sex marriage? Joining the conversation, Mommy Man blogger Jerry Mahoney in New York, on set with us here in Atlanta. Hi, Jerry. Hi. Child psychologist Erik Fisher, and radio host and father Bert Weiss. Bert, I wanted to get to you first because I understand you just had this conversation with your 10-year-old?
Yeah, this was actually super easy, unless I messed it up and you guys are going to tell me I handled it all wrong.
Okay, exactly.
We were in a movie, Bully, and they were throwing around the F word, the derogatory F word for gay people, and he asked me what it meant. So at the end of the day, I said to him, well, you know how Daddy loves Mommy, and I'm a man, Mommy's a woman. Well, there are some men that love other men, and there are some women that love other women. That was the end of the conversation, and it was like, all right, let's go play Xbox. That was really it.
Okay, and is that, I mean, Erik, do you think that's the way to go, is to wait for them to come to you and ask a question? Or if they get to a certain age, do we need to perpetuate that conversation?
Well, I think there's a combination of that. Sometimes you ask your kids, you know anything that's going on in the news these days, or what do you know about the news? And you take their lead on that. So that might be how you bring up the conversation. If they don't bring it up and they're 10 or below, I don't necessarily think it's necessary. If they come to you with it, though, it is good to be prepared and to know what you're going to say. The issue is when you have a stand on an issue, it can ignite a few things. If your child's a pleaser and wants to go ahead along with the party line, they may go along with what you say just to agree and just to make you happy. If they tend to be more rebellious and their temperament's a little more defiant, then they may take the opposing rule just to take the opposing rule, which can build more conflict later on down the line. And do you really know what your child really thinks when you push your views?
As always, we're listening to you on Facebook and Twitter, and you have had so much to say about talking to your children about same-sex marriage. This is a tough one. Psalms Martinez says, being a Christian and growing up in church, I'll teach my children the same beliefs. However, I will also teach them not to discriminate. And Shauna Bone says, my kids aren't that old yet, but I support traditional values, and I'd be interested in how others talk to their kids about that. So child psychologist Erik Fisher is back with us again, and I think that's one of the things that I did really want to get to about this, because, I mean, you see that 47% of people in our country don't think same-sex marriage should be legal. But you want to try to balance, okay, your beliefs with not raising a kid who's a bully or who's discriminatory, as our viewer said. How do you... If a family is very staunch in their religious beliefs that a marriage is between a man and a woman, how do you have this conversation with your child?
Well, I think we have to look at also age stratification of those statistics, too, that younger generations are much more open to same-sex marriage. In this discussion, I'd say that you have the discussion with your child that it's my job to help to raise you with the views of God and Creator that I was raised and that I've grown into. Because it's not just how you're raised, it's how you grow into it. I want you to respect that everybody has the choice to make the choices they will make, and I believe those people will have their day with Creator to have the discussions on the life choices they made. I want to educate you on morality, ethics, the choices you make, and how we influence with our choices the people around us. And I want to make sure that this is a discussion we can have, but I will respect a choice that you may make in your life that feels comfortable with you, but just understand where I'm coming from.
Bert, you're shaking your head, yes?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, is there any way to explain it to your kids objectively, like to give both sides evenly, even if you believe on one thing?
Well, there is evidence neurologically of how the brain is wired differently in homosexuals. So we do have support that people are born that way. It's not about being socialized. It's how we're born into, genetic, or not genetically, but physiologically. So we have to consider those pieces. And we also have to consider how, you look at how the Catholic Church has changed some of their belief systems and some of the doctrine that they had over, the thousands of years that they've been in existence. So we have to look at maybe these are some things why we look at it as absolute truth and this is the way it is. it might be that some of these belief systems change in some other religions, and I realize that might draw some feathers.
All right, I got it. Hey, thank you so much for having that conversation, because it's really strong online, and we want to make sure that we keep talking about what really matters to you.